Hey there YouTube, this is Happy to be Free. This is the third time I've tried making this video. I keep getting interrupted or something happens. Anyways, I'm going to try and get this one completed. I'd like to share a few scriptures with you guys. This is kind of in reference to Jehovah's Witnesses who are out here on YouTube defending their faith. Yet at the same time, when former witnesses make comments about how they should not be here because the society recommends them not, they quickly retort that the society has never said that. I actually had one person, it was C in Reason, telling me that I wasn't able to properly interpret what the society was teaching them because I was no longer qualified to do so. I would like to read a few things from their literature, and you guys can actually interpret them as well to help fellow YouTubers out there who are Jehovah's Witnesses or fellow Jehovah's Witnesses who are actually watching this video. You yourself can determine whether or not you should be out here speaking with those of us on here, especially those of us who have left the organization. I'd like to read to you guys James 4:4, and it says, "Adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world is constituting himself an enemy of God." The reason I read this scripture is primarily because of their definition, the Jehovah's Witness organization, their definition of world. They list three different definitions, but I'm going to focus on the third one. The third definition is the mass of mankind apart from Jehovah's approved servants. Well, naturally, they believe that they are God's approved servants. Therefore, what they are saying is they actually quote that scripture in what is the attitude of true Christians toward the world and toward people who are a part of the world. They also quote John 15:9, "You are no part of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world." Basically, they're saying that if you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you are a part of the world. And it's pretty clear that Jehovah's Witnesses should have very limited contact with those who are a part of this world. Also, I'd like to speak briefly on apostates. I had a gentleman mention to me that we were not, in fact, the apostates that the society was teaching against. An apostate, most people know by definition, is someone who's left a former belief, whether it be religious or political. There are apostate Catholics out there, there are apostate Baptists, and there are apostate Jehovah's Witnesses. And I am, being a former member of the Jehovah's Witness organization, by definition an apostate. No, I'm not out there preaching against the witnesses per se, but I do offer counsel whenever someone asks a question here or there, because I have experienced some crazy things in my life, especially during my time that I was leaving the organization. But their definition, which I find a little interesting because it's not technically the same definition from what most people know the definition of apostasy to be. Theirs in their book, Reasoning from the Scriptures, it's on page 34, is apostasy is abandoning or deserting the worship and service of God, actually a rebellion against Jehovah God. Some apostates profess to know and serve God, but reject teachings or requirements set out in His Word. Others claim to believe the Bible, but reject Jehovah's organization. Well, naturally, they believe that they are Jehovah's organization. So, if you have not rebelled against God, but you are not a part of His organization or not a part of the Jehovah's Witnesses, then you are considered an apostate. They actually ask in their little reasoning from the Scriptures book, would faithful Christians welcome apostates into their presence, either personally or by reading their literature? I am assuming that this also applies to information on videos such as YouTube. I'm sure when this book was originally written, there was no such site for witnesses to read information on. So I'm sure that this naturally, using logic, means that their information out on YouTube as well would be considered apostate literature if it's not going in accord with what the society teaches. But they quote two scriptures, 2 John 9:10 And it says, everyone that pushes ahead and does not remain in the teaching of the Christ does not have God. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, never receive him into your homes or say a greeting to him. And then they list Romans 16, 17, and 18. It says, I exhort you, brothers, to keep your eye on those who cause divisions and occasions for stumbling, contrary to the teaching that you have learned, and avoid them. By smooth talk and complimentary speech, they seduce the hearts of godless ones. The next question is, would any serious harm come from satisfying one's curiosity about the thinking of apostates? And they list a couple more scriptures. Proverbs 11:9, which says, by his mouth the one who is an apostate brings his fellow man to ruin. And Isaiah 32:6 says, the senseless one himself will speak mere senselessness, and his very heart will work at what is hurtful, to work at apostasy, and to speak against Jehovah what is wayward, to cause the soul of the hungry one to go empty, and he causes even the thirsty one to go without drink itself. They also have a list that says compare Isaiah 65:13 and 14, which I'm not going to look up and read. But basically, what I gather from their information is that Jehovah's Witnesses should not be associating with the world, and that anyone who is not a member of their approved organization by God, they are considered apostates, and by the scriptures quoted by the society, Jehovah's Witnesses should not be in association or reading the literature of apostates. Now, I understand many people have questions, and maybe in the back of their mind they're even unsure if they want to be a witness, but they have questions, and they hold on just a minute, son, and they get defensive in an effort to help. They get defensive in an effort to help strengthen themselves and their beliefs, and sometimes in effect this actually ends up working for the good. They actually end up have a relationship with God in the end because of it, because they walk away from the organization. Now, there are many people who do believe that they have the truth, and if you do believe that it's okay to be out here on YouTube, but you do feel like you have the truth, you may want to speak with the elders in your congregation just to make sure that it is an approved arrangement, because if you do truly believe what you're being taught, you certainly wouldn't want to do anything that would hinder your relationship with God. If the society is teaching you one thing but you're going against it, or you believe you're not going against it but in fact you may be, you may want to speak to your Christian elders in the congregation to actually determine whether or not it's fitting for you to be on YouTube discussing spiritual matters with those of us who have left. Anyways, continue in your quest, everyone, and continue to try and draw close to God. My best wishes are out there for everyone, and feel free to drop me a line or send me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions. You guys have a great one.